What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and in today's WWE news video, we have a lot to talk about, including the latest on why NXT is not involved at this year's Survivor Series, Cain Velasquez possibly returning, a SmackDown superstar injured, WWE announcing a major injury on a SmackDown superstar, and also the latest on another NXT main roster call-up. So let's actually talk about Survivor Series for a minute, because here's the thing. We all know when it comes to, obviously we know last year's Survivor Series, NXT picked up the big W when Shayna Baszler actually submitted Bayley at that time. Now, and now they're not. So there's been an update as to why they're not involved. So shoutouts to Jamie Kennedy from What Culture for this article. I believe this was posted just a couple days ago or something like that. So it's relatively new. The Wrestling Observer, of course, has reported two different reasons for NXT's omission from Survivor Series 2020. Firstly, there are internal worries about the spread of the pandemic if WWE have too many bodies backstage at the Thunderdome in the Amway Center. That, according to Dave Meltzer's write-up, is a major concern for Vince McMahon and isn't a risk he's willing to take. Secondly, McMahon also wants to distance NXT from Raw and SmackDown generally. This flies in the face of last year. NXT was presented as an upstart threat to both flagship brands, and it was hoped that some Survivor Series shine would help take it to the next level. Apparently, WWE aren't worried about that 1 year on. The company are more concerned about building towards the next NXT takeover than repeating 2019's tri-pronged attack. This is also why NXT didn't have much involvement in the 2020 draft. They're being treated like a standalone entity / occasional feeder league by McMahon. Okay, so I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that in that last paragraph. I honestly don't buy it, because when it comes to NXT, there's always a couple guys here and there that WWE will see. We'll look at it and be like, oh, that's the next guy. That's gonna be the next guy. They did that with Seth Rollins. They did that with Roman Reigns. They did that with Drew McIntyre. I think they also did it with Cedric Alexander when he became a Cruiserweight champion. I know that they did that with Kevin Owens when he became the second ever Universal Champion. So for that paragraph to have been written, I don't buy it. I think I think that paragraph is bullshit, because NXT, yes, NXT is was a brand that became a big threat to WWE last year. But this is a different year. Obviously, this 2020, we're getting closer and closer to 2021, which means a lot can happen. So much can happen, from now until the end of next month, which is obviously New Year's Eve. And one thing that's interesting is that again, Survivor Series is the one night of the year where Raw and SmackDown duke it out for brand supremacy. Last year, again, I had mentioned that NXT picked up the big victory because of Shayna Baszler, and this year, again, it is different. I don't blame WWE for wanting to for taking the cautious way and making it just Raw versus SmackDown. But what's ironic is that we have the men's and women's Survivor Series matches, and As of now, for the women's team, for Team Raw, we have the women's tag team champions Jackson Baszler. We have Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, and Lana, of all people. And then for SmackDown, as of now, SmackDown has Bianca Belair. For the men's team, for Raw, we have AJ Styles, Keith Lee, and Sheamus. SmackDown has Kevin Owens and Jey Uso, who we saw this past Friday on SmackDown, turn heel, which I don't know what to make of that, honestly. And then, of course, too, for the rest of the matches, obviously it's champion versus champion. We have Sami Zayn against Bobby Lashley, The New Day versus the Street Profits, Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns, Asuka versus Sasha Banks, and Asuka versus Sasha Banks. These matches are scheduled to take place at Survivor Series if the titles do not change hands. Obviously, we know Bayley has invoked sort of her rematch clause on Sasha Banks for this Friday on SmackDown. So, and then also too, the Hurt Business, given the fact that they have Retribution to deal with, they're going to be, they said that their payment was going to be in gold, which obviously would mean not just the Raw tag team titles, but also the WWE title as well. And as far as who will get the WWE title, because that Bobby Lashley holds the United States Championship, it's most likely going to be MVP, hands down. And the Raw tag titles, it's going to be Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. But again, this is brilliant by WWE. Have NXT, break away from being a part of Survivor Series. Let them do their own thing, and so that way next year when we do get the draft, sorry guys, I'm watching a commercial here. It was some weird commercial. Anyway, and then next year during the draft, NXT can finally get involved, and then they can also get involved with Survivor Series next year. Honestly, I think that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But honestly, we'll see. We still have yet to find out what takeover we're gonna have. I think it's gonna be War Games, given the fact that that's become a yearly thing. So I believe it is going to be Takeover War Games, which explains why Pat McAfee has aligned himself with Pete Dunne and the tag team champions Burch and Lorcan. So we may end up seeing that come to pass. As far as I know, anyway, there are no matches scheduled for the next Takeover, which will be a part of Survivor Series weekend. So, again, there hasn't been any updates. There's been no chatter about it. So, nothing really too crazy. Alright, you guys, next up, if I can find it, scrolling up. Here we are. So shoutouts to Andy Murray for this article. Cain Velasquez on a possible WWE return. Are we going to see it? Well, let's see what the article has to say. Cain Velasquez may not be done with professional wrestling despite sitting dormant since WWE let him go back in April. Yeah, I did mention that he was released from his contract back in April. I actually did do a video on that, which you guys can definitely check out. Speaking on Ariel Helwani's MMA show for ESPN, Rey Mysterio said that while he can't dig into the exact situation with Cain, end quotes, he believes he will be back in the square circle someday. The two were booked as allies during Velasquez's time in WWE, with Mysterio introducing Cain ahead of his battle with WWE Champion Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel last year. Ray says, quote, "I know for a fact that he's dedicated and very passionate about lucha libre and wrestling. I know it was one of his biggest dreams to be a part of WWE. I don't think that he's gone for good. I think he's going to make a comeback. I would really love that. I think that him coming back would be huge." Velasquez, October 31st, 2019 loss to Lesnar was his last televised appearance for the WWE. January 2020 saw him claim that he'd be a part of the upcoming Royal Rumble, though this never came to fruition. He was let go as part of the promotion's mass cuts in April. So there were a lot of rumors that he was going to be a part of the 2020 men's Royal Rumble, have him win said Royal Rumble, and then go on to WrestleMania and beat Brock Lesnar. That was, from what I understand, from the rumors I've heard, that was the initial plan. But that never came to pass because of the fact that, because there was a lot of heat going on backstage. From what I understand, there was a lot of heat going on backstage, and so he was forced to be out of the whole scenario. So, which explains why... Hang on a second. Which I believe explains why, if I can find that one. No, that's not the one. So it's somewhere around here. I actually have last year's card. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. So that actually, which explains why we had how many people? How many? We had 1, 2. We had like what, 2 superstars from NXT. I think that explains why I think Matt Riddle and Keith Lee were replaced, was because of that particular reason. But obviously, Drew McIntyre ended up winning that match, coming in at number 16, eliminating Lesnar, who entered the match at number 1, which I did talk about that. I talked about whether or not that was wise. Whether or not it was wise for Lesnar to enter the match at number 1, considering the fact that he was the WWE champion, he should have defended the title. He should have been able to defend the title and then have McIntyre win it on the night of the Royal Rumble, and then just have McIntyre defend it at WrestleMania. That never came to pass. But honestly, you know what? Cain Velasquez coming back, I think it's an awesome idea. I think with what he brought to the table at Crown Jewel, and with his rivalry with Lesnar back in the UFC, I think it's pretty. I think that'd be pretty cool to see Cain Velasquez come back, but you never know. All right, you guys. Shout outs to Liam Winter from Wrestle Talk for this article. WWE announces an injury to a major star on SmackDown. If you haven't guessed already, I mentioned Jey Uso turning heel. That's because he turned heel on Daniel Bryan. Yeah, so WWE has taken to social media and its website to announce an injury to major SmackDown star following last night's episode of the show. So again, this was posted back on Saturday. So this is somewhat new for me. Well, for all of us anyway. The show closed last night with Jey Uso turning heel by pledging allegiance to Universal Champion Roman Reigns by launching an attack on Daniel Bryan, including a splash from the top rope through the announce table. WWE has confirmed injuries to Bryan, writing, quote, following his match with Jey Uso on Friday Night SmackDown, Daniel Bryan was evaluated in the WWE trainer's room, complaining of back and lower abdominal pain. WWE Medical recommended Bryan be transported to a hospital. I know it says medical facility, but really? Come on, thank you. Where multiple imaging tests were performed and revealed a bruised kidney and multiple strains and contusions throughout his thoracic and lumbar spine. WWE was released... Bryan was released from the hospital last night. Is now convalescing at home. The attack took place after Uso had beaten Bryan in a qualifying match for the Survivor Series men's team, for the SmackDown Men's Survivor Series team. He joins Kevin Owens on the team who beat Dolph Ziggler. Reigns will face Raw's WWE Champion Randy Orton. Yeah, so if you guys don't remember, I spoke about it. I spoke about this a while back on a potential faction involving Reigns and the Usos. I think that's a great idea, but I want to quote something that Peter Rosenberg said on the Payback Kickoff show back in September. He had said that Paul Heyman was setting Roman Reigns up for Brock Lesnar, and I'm gonna be honest. I think that could very well that could be true, because here's the thing: we know Brock Lesnar hates Roman Reigns. He does not like him. He despises him in ways I can't even explain. And Paul Heyman, he had mentioned literally 5 years ago that he had knew Roman Reigns' family for years throughout his entire career, and excuse me, and that he had said that he had learned about the business through Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoans, who are WWE Hall of Famers, and that was back in 2015. Fast forward 5 years later, and here we are, Reigns and Heyman teaming up together. Kind of crazy. So for the factions to finally start to take shape, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an awesome idea, but I feel like if this faction of Romans could very well plummet at some point down the road, like maybe within the next few months or so, possibly after WrestleMania, because I've been hearing a lot of rumors that the Usos are going to turn their back on Roman Reigns, and if they were to do that, they would be out of the family, which I don't know. I don't know. I'm still a little down. I'm still like pissed off that Jey Uso turned heel. I mean, I get why he did it. It's because of the fact that he had to fall in line, take orders from Reigns, and acknowledge him as a tribal chief. But this was going way too far. But I know I do hope that Daniel Bryan is watching. D-Bry, if you're watching this, brother, I wish you a speedy speedy recovery, brother. Alright, you guys, so that being said, the last thing here, major NXT star getting called up to the main roster. Who could it be? It's actually none other than Rhea Ripley. It's actually Rhea Ripley. So shoutouts to Louise Dangor for this article. Sorry guys, I'm a little tired right now. Did I have something? And I got hair in my eyes. In an interview with Give Me Sport ahead of this week's NXT Halloween Havoc special event, Shotzi Blackheart may have accidentally given away the identity of the next NXT star getting called up to the main roster. The former Evolve star was asked about whether or not she... Hang on a second, guys. I swear, I don't care if it's not responding. Okay, son of you. There we go. The former Evolve star was asked about whether or not she is interested in making a full-time move to either Raw or SmackDown, and noted that she thinks Rhea Ripley is getting called up next. She said, quote, the main roster is the main goal. No pun intended. That's why we're at NXT. So every time someone moves up to the main roster, it's awesome. I think Rhea Ripley will be called up next. I don't know what's taking so long. Honestly, she belongs up there. She's a superstar. I think very soon she'll be gone. That makes me sad because she's one of my favorite tag team partners, but she deserves it. Of course, this is likely just speculations on Shotzi Blackheart's part, but it could also suggest that people within NXT have been told that Rhea Ripley is going to be heading up to the main roster in the near future. If she does debut on the main roster soon, then it has been speculated that she'll end up on the Raw brand, allowing her to continue her feud with Charlotte Flair. Okay, well, apparently my fucking laptop wants to load, so, there we go. From WrestleMania 36 when she returns from injury. Yeah, so obviously because of her injuries, Charlotte Flair was, has been out and whatnot. Obviously because of Nia Jax. But honestly, I think Rhea Ripley excuse me. Rhea Ripley going to the main roster, awesome. It is awesome. She'll be able to finally continue her feud with Charlotte Flair. Possibly this time over the Raw Women's Championship if Charlotte Flair were to get her hands on it, and then the feud can just last a little bit, and then next year's draft she gets drafted to SmackDown, and she could just go on from there. Honestly, I think it's awesome. Rhea Ripley is obviously she's a former NXT Women's Champion. She's the first ever NXT UK Women's Women's Champion by beating obviously by defeating Toni Storm to win the inaugural title. She also beat Baszler to win the NXT Women's title as well. And given the fact that she was the sole survivor for the for last year's Women's Survivor Series match, and given the fact that she beat Baszler in War Games with just 2 women, herself and Candice LeRae, that is incredible. That's incredible. Those are some incredible feats, and I think honestly, because of how big of a star she is in NXT. If she were to get called up to the main roster, she could be an even bigger star than she already is now in NXT, which is very possible. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Question of the day. Should Rhea Ripley go to the main roster, or should she stay in NXT? Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button if you guys are new to the channel and you guys love seeing these types of news videos for WWE and for YuGiOh. Definitely hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links are down in the description below. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.